Hi everyone, it's Winnie. Today's date is the 29th. 29th. Whoa, did you see that blinking? And I don't have a vlog because I wanted to talk to you guys about what's going on, you know, how everything that is going on, you know, in the media, everything that's going on in Minneapolis, the two gentlemen, George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, how I feel like, I don't want to say it's affecting me, but it is affecting me because I don't want to take away from what's going on. But it made me start to wonder if I've ever been racially profiled, or if I've witnessed, you know, police brutality, or just even an interaction with police escalate really quickly. There are actually 3 incidences that, looking back now, I'm like, did I really just see this? Did these really happen to me? And again, I don't want to take away from everything that's going on. I just want to share, like, I guess my own experience with these topics. And I'm definitely not trying to say screw the police, whatever. That's not it. Like, I have full respect for police even after all these incidences, but it is scary to think what could have happened if they felt more threatened than they actually did. Or, you know, what I know it's the same type of question, but what could have happened? You know, the outcome could have been really, really bad. So the 3 incidences that come to mind, 2 happened here in Arizona, 1 happened in New Mexico. So the first incident happened technically in Scottsdale. My friend Tani, her brother Emery, and her sister, and myself, and then there was this guy that we were giving a ride home to. He lived in Scottsdale, and we didn't know him. His friends ditched him at IHOP. We were at the IHOP and just kind of eating. He came over and was like, my friends ditched me, can you guys give me a ride home? I don't have money for a cab. So Tani and Emery, being the sweetest, nice people that they are, they're like, yeah, sure, you know, just hang out till we're done, we'll give you a ride home. We get on the 202, we exit, we go up Scottsdale, we go north on Scottsdale Road, and we come to this intersection. And there's the left-hand turn lane that we were in. There's the lane that goes straight like you're going into Old Town Scottsdale, and there's the other lane next to that, you know, takes you to Old Town Scottsdale as well. We're in the left-hand turn, we're waiting for that green arrow to go, and police officer pulls up right next to us. And mind you, this is at 10, maybe 10:30 at night. Everybody in the vehicle except for the dude that they're dropping off, we're dropping off. We're all Native American, we all look like this, and he's Caucasian. And so he's driver's seat, Emery's driving, Tani is front passenger seat, I'm sitting behind the driver's seat, and this guy that we're giving a ride home to, he's sitting behind Tani. So he's like, so he can kind of just jump out really quick and we can say bye, and you know. And then her sister's sitting in the back. We're here, cop is here. The gentleman reaches out the window. He gave the officer the finger, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I'm young, I'm in college, and you know, being arrested isn't on my, you know, lifelong plan. So I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And then Tani, even she reaches out her window and she's trying to swat his hand, like, stop it, put it down, like, you know. The officer sees, he looks up because he's in a car, he sees all this, and Emery, he doesn't really see what's going on, he doesn't understand what's going on, he just hears commotion and us telling this guy to, you know, cut it out. Arrow turns green, he starts making his left-hand turn. Police officer follows us, turns on his lights, and Emery's like, what's going on? How come I'm getting pulled over? So he has no choice but to pull into, you know, this little gas station, and puts the van into park, turns it off. He's like, what's going on? Well, you know, police officer is making his way. He's like, what's going on? And so we're like, this dude freaking flipped off the police officer. And he's like, ah. So the police officer comes. He runs up to the driver's side door. He's like, get out of your vehicle. Get out now. Like, he's yelling and he's pissed. And so Emery's like, okay. So he starts making his way out of the vehicle. Police officer, and I'm not even joking, he takes Emery and just boom, slams him face first. He like did a little, grabbed him by his arm and flipped him over and slams him face first into the side of the van. And I'm sitting behind the driver's seat, remember, so I'm seeing all this right here. I have a front row seat to all this, and I'm just like, like, what the freak is happening? He asked for ID, and Emery gives him his ID, and he's looking at it, and he's like, what are you doing in my area? What are you doing in my area? He's police officer saying that to Emery, and Emery's like, we're just dropping this dude off, like, we're just giving him a ride. And then so the police officer, he's wearing glasses, and this is at night, so it's not sunglasses. Police officer says this, okay, I'm the police officer. He's like, I saw you. I saw what you did. I saw what you did. I'm wearing my good glasses. I'm wearing my good glasses today. He's doing that. And I'm just like, what is happening? Because this escalated so quickly. So Emery's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We're just giving this guy a ride home. And so the police officer comes around the van, and the guy opens the door, and different attitude towards this guy. Still firm, still authoritative. He's like, so where are you going? What are you doing? Why did you do that? Like, he's, you know, definitely a lot calmer. And I have a front row seat to what just happened right here and what's happening right here. I'm just like, and so the police officer wants IDs for all of us, and he's like, I don't want to see you guys in this area again. I'm like, I live in Tempe. I can't avoid this area. Like, sometimes I have to do stuff in Scottsdale. I didn't say that. That's what I'm thinking. And I also remember thinking, I don't want to go to jail in flip-flops. Don't say anything. Don't give him attitude. Because, like I said, I'm a college student. Going to jail is not part of, you know, any goal that I have. I can only look back and think that had to have been like a coping, like a way to cope with what I was seeing. So he's like, well, you guys need to get out of here. Do what you need to do and get out of here. And we're like, what if we owned a home here? Like, so we don't, you know, try to interact with the police officer even more. So we leave. We get to this guy, his house or wherever he. Basically, we were like, bye, get out, you know. He's like, oh, sorry guys, sorry, you know, sorry that happened, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, okay, bye. So we leave, and I remember thinking, that was close. Like, what could have happened? You know, really, what could have happened? So that was that incident. And then fast forward, I don't know, maybe like a year or two, I was with Tani and her brother again. And it was on the night of a meteor shower. I don't remember what time of year it was, but I remember there was a meteor shower. This was like around 10:30 at night again. So they call me up and they're like, hey, we're going out to like East Mesa, maybe Apache Junction. I don't know where they said. We're gonna go try to look at the meteor shower. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, pick me up. So they come and they pick me up. We hit up QT. We buy like armfuls of snacks, like chips, corn nuts. I think one of us bought a hot dog. Like, we bought like just a crap full of like a lot of junk food. So it was Tani, her brother, myself, and her cousin. 4 of us were in this little tiny car. We make our way on the 60 way, like, I don't even know, like, is it Apache Junction? There's those mountains. If you're going east on the 60, there's those mountains that are way off. We drove to those. I think those are the Superstition Mountains. We exit the freeway. We drive through this little town. It seemed like a mining town because there was like maybe like a bar and like a general store, or, you know, like a Family Dollar. And we're just kind of driving, and there's nobody on the road. We get to this little like dirt road, and we're just kind of sitting there looking at the meteor, you know, the meteor shower, eating our junk food and everything. No alcohol was involved. And I think we were there for like maybe an hour and a half. I don't really know. And we're like, okay, time to go back. So pile back into the car, and we start making our way back through this little town. Right before we get to the freeway, these lights, like spotlights, just light up the whole car. And I remember, like, where'd that come from? Because I could see, you know, it was bright. And then next thing you know, red and blue lights start going off. And so we're thinking, there's an ambulance that needs to get by us, let's pull over. So we pull off into this little parking lot. I don't know what parking lot it was for, but we pull off thinking that this vehicle is gonna pass us. We park there, and then it follows us, and then the lights get brighter. It's like jish, jish, and it's bright. And I remember like having to do this, like, oh gosh, it's bright. So Emery turns off the vehicle, and the lights, the blue lights, so you're thinking it's an officer. We're sitting there, and then out of nowhere, a megaphone says, put your hands up. Put your hands up where we can see them. And we're like, that was my face And so we're sitting there in this car, and a police officer walks up and he says, "Can I have you get out of the car?" He says that to Emery, and so Emery's like, "Yeah, okay." So he gets out and they're talking for a bit. There's like no shouting or anything, they're just kind of talking. I remember he asked for ID, Emery gives him ID again, our driver's license, and then they're talking again, and then the police officer comes over to the driver's side door. He's like, "It's okay, you can go ahead and put your hands down." So we're like, the spotlights go off, and then they're talking a little bit for a couple more minutes, and then Emery gets in. He's like, "Oh, let's get out of here." He's like, let's just get out of here." So we're like, "What's going on? What happened?" So we make our way out of this little town and eventually get onto the freeway. But as we're driving, I guess what the police officer said to Emery was that the vehicle fit the description of another vehicle. There was like a robbery or something like that, and the vehicle fit the description. I remember thinking, I'm like, well, there's nothing special about, sorry Tawny, but I remember thinking, there's nothing special about this car. There's not a lot of people that own this car, like a car like this. The windows were clear, like clear. They weren't tinted. So I'm like, what are the odds of another car that looks like this car and have 4 people that look like us? What are the odds of another car being out there like this? And I was like, it's not like our windows were tinted where it was like, I don't know, we couldn't see the driver or the occupants. Those windows were clear. It just was scary because what Emery said was that there were guns pointed on us. We actually had guns drawn on us. We didn't know. If I had known, I would have been scared. But there were actually more than one vehicle, and there was guns pointed at us. Looking back, I'm like, if the officers felt threatened or they felt like we weren't complying, what could the outcome have been, you know? So there's that. I don't want it to make it sound like Tawny and Emery are like bad people. They're actually really good people, and they're fun to be around. Very nice, very kind, just helpful people. They want to help people. Like, they're those type of people. It was so weird because in both of those incidences, we were minding our own business. We weren't breaking any laws. We were just literally driving, and this is how we got treated by officers. So the first one was in Scottsdale. The second one, I want to say it was like Apache Junction area, but this last one happened in Gallup, New Mexico. It was Sam and I. Just a little backstory. The reason why we were going through Gallup is because my father, he had a really bad accident and was having like memory issues. So he was in the hospital in Albuquerque at UNM Medical Center. Sam and I, we both lived in, we had just gotten married. We were living in Anthem. My dad got in an accident, and even though the nurses and the doctors had his driver's license that had his name and date of birth, and that was even when your driver's license could be your social security number, or it was okay to be. Now it's not anymore. They still couldn't say who he was because of the memory issue. So they were calling him John Smith or like John Doe or something. He was in ICU in critical condition. They were calling him this generic name. I don't remember what it was. And the only way we could get through to check on him was say, John Smith in Unit 1, how is he doing? And they would say, oh, he's doing better today, blah, blah, blah. But he was in critical condition ICU. So the accident happened. Sam and I, we hauled butt from Anthem all the way to Albuquerque. And we were driving on the freeway through Gallup, New Mexico. And the area that we were driving through, I think the speed limit was like 65 on the freeway. But we were going over. We were going like maybe 8 or 9 miles over that posted speed limit. I'm gonna go ahead and admit that. So we're driving, and then next thing you know, lights red and blue, and I'm already bawling and crying because I don't know if my dad's gonna be okay. Will I see my dad again? And you know, all this sort of stuff. I'm bawling, I'm crying, I can't keep it together. Sam pulls off the road, officer comes up behind us, and he's like, he comes up and he's like, where are you going driving that fast? And Sam's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I know I was going over, but I'm trying to get my wife to UNM. My father-in-law, he just had an accident. I didn't ask that, did I? And Sam's like, I'm just answering your question, like, you know. So he's like, I need to see your driver's license. So Sam takes out his driver's license and gives it to him, and he takes it to the back, and I'm like crying, I'm like bawling, and I'm like doing this sort of action because everything going on and everything. Police officer comes up, he's like, why are you going so fast through my area? He's saying that whole my area type of thing. And Sam's like, I'm sorry, my wife, her dad, he's in, you know, the hospital. He's in critical condition. We're trying to get there. The police officer, he's just kind of standing there, and I'm crying still, and I'm trying to tell this police officer, my dad had an accident and he's in ICU. And he's like, I'm not talking to you. Like, he says it to me, and he's like, you need to shut up. Like, he says that. It makes me cry even harder, and, you know, I'm just like, what? The police officer's like, you need to slow down, I'm giving you a ticket. And, you know, and Sam's like, okay, I understand, I'm getting a ticket, we just need to get to the hospital. And then so the officer, and this was weird, he was like, what's your dad's name? And I tell the police officer my dad's real name, because I had forgotten in everything that's going on that my dad is, you know, John Smith or Jane Doe or John Doe or whatever in ICU because of his memory issue. So I tell the police officer my dad's real name. He disappears. He goes back to his unit. He's back there for a couple minutes, and he comes back and he's like, there's nobody by that name in ICU at UNM. And I'm like, it's because he's this name in ICU. He's like, I don't care, I don't care. And I'm just like, and this is before, you know, camera phones and, like, you know, these smartphones where you can video everything. And I'm just like, is this really happening? I'm crying and I'm bawling and I want to throw up because I feel so, what is going on? So he gives us a ticket and we go on our way. We ended up coming back like a week later because we contested it, and it did end up getting thrown out. And we did tell the judge, you know, how we were treated, and, you know, this is what happened. And we even brought my dad's medical records to show that we weren't making this up. My dad really was in ICU. He was in critical condition. He had memory loss, and, you know, we were trying to get there. And the judge, she was still matter of fact and kind of like very, you know, business at hand type of attitude. She ended up, you know, throwing out the ticket, and she's like, yeah, well, next time just be careful type of thing. We gave feedback on the officer. I don't know if she ever took it seriously or not, but it was like, this is how you treat people? Like, no empathy, no compassion, no like, oh man, I'm really sorry. Even if he had said, I'm so sorry to hear this, but you can't be going this fast, you know. Even if he were to have said that, I would have been like, I'm so sorry, and, you know, this won't happen, trust me, please, please. But it was like, no compassion, no empathy, no nothing. It was just like, what are you doing? Going back to these things that I've realized, I'm just like, these things actually happen to me. You know, these things that are happening on the news, granted I had a better outcome, and I can't stress it enough, I'm not trying to take away from what's going on, or the fact that, like, you know, in the past like month, I know Ahmed Aubrey passed, like, he passed away a while back, but these things are finally coming to light, and it's like, what's happening? And it's scary to think that if I, you know, maybe moved a little bit quicker, or like raised my hand to scratch my head, something could have happened. Like, and it's, I don't know, I don't ever want to be like, oh well, I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim, because that's not me. But it is scary, and it is something to kind of think about. In those incidences, things could have been a lot worse, and I feel like we did, you know, we did get lucky that it didn't go down that route. And it's scary, like, we were really just minding our business, like, we weren't breaking any laws except for speeding 8 to 9 miles over the speed limit through freaking Gallup, New Mexico. But it's like, did it warrant that type of behavior? Did it warrant being treated like that? Being yelled at? Being told to shut up, I wasn't talking to you? Or, you know, Tani's brother being physically slammed against a van for what this guy did, and the cop doesn't even talk to him the same way or treat him the same way. It's just so weird. And especially when the police officers were like, what are you doing in my area? Like, what? And it's just, I don't know, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm not, it's definitely not something, as far as myself, I'm not gonna let that define me, of course. But I feel like with everything that's going on, I feel like maybe these type of things need to be shared, because if it can happen to me, I'm a law-abiding citizen. You know, we pay our taxes, we walk our dogs, and we even pick up poop and carry it around. We're that, you know, we're those type of people. We don't break laws, we don't litter, like, you know, and to be treated like this for minding our own freaking business, like, it's so scary. Like, it's weird. And the fact is that, you know, even if I were to go outside right now to check my mail, would somebody think that I'm stealing something? So anyway, I just want to share those incidences. And I mean, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And I feel like I'm the least threatening person ever, but you know, I know police officers aren't trained to think that way. While she doesn't look like she's a threat, I know that they're not trained to think that way. Like, what is going on? Like, really? So anyway, that's today's video. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope that I just hope that you guys are safe. I'll see you guys later. Bye.